So it's been about a week playing around with Dragon Door's new ISO chain. Wanted to give you my first thoughts. Full review is coming out later this week. But to be perfectly honest with you, when I first started playing with it, I wasn't expecting much. In fact, I was fully prepared to be very disappointed by it because I figured it was a gimmicky, complicated, expensive way to do something that was natural, efficient, and very cheap because we don't need this in order to practice isometrics. But after about a week, not only have I come to the conclusion that the ISO chain is a massive game changer for isometrics, but it's a massive game changer for strength training. And the reason why this works is a lesson I'm going to share with you in today's video, which can potentially improve every workout you do for the rest of your life. You see, a lot of the messages in our fitness culture are bent on telling you that your workout is going to be effective if you use the right equipment, if you use the right program, right sets and reps, the right tempo, rest periods, all these sorts of things. Now, that's not unimportant. These things are important, sure. But what really makes your workouts work has nothing to do with the weight in your hand. Instead, it's everything to do with the thoughts in your mind. If I have a dumbbell in my hand, right, that dumbbell doesn't do a damn thing for my biceps. There's no signal going from the iron to my muscle tissue. There's no like little voice in the iron saying, bicep, you need to get bigger and stronger. That does not exist. There's no connection whatsoever between the two. Instead, what's actually happening is my brain is telling my muscles what to do in relation to what it's getting back as feedback of the dumbbell. So if I'm standing and I have dumbbells in hand, right, and I want to curl them up, my brain creates a signal, I call it the neural code, to the muscle that says you need to contract tighter, put more tension in the muscle. And based on what I see and what I feel as feedback, I know if I'm producing enough tension in the bicep. If it's not lifting, my brain gets that feedback. It says, not enough. I've got to modify that signal and tell the muscle to contract harder. And if it can do that, then I'm successful with it. So we have this loop. This loop is 100% responsible for your success in any sort of physical endeavor, regardless of what you're doing and how you're doing it. Signals are you're concentrating, focusing on telling your muscles what to do. And then based on your performance and output, your brain is receiving feedback. Now, here's the important thing. If your brain says, lift up the barbell, right? And the feedback is, roger that, we've got the barbell lifting up, then we have a homeostatic balance between this sort of thing. Signal going to the muscle says, you got it, I got it, and the brain says, great, awesome. Satisfying, but nothing happens. There's no reason at all to change. There's reason to maintain what you have, but there's nothing saying you need to get bigger and stronger. Instead, what happens to create a stimulus for change is when your brain says, okay, muscle, you need to contract for, let's say, 10 more pounds, and you're like, oh boy, that's not quite happening enough, and you're getting the feedback saying, we kind of can do it, but it's not good enough. Then the brain steps up that signal saying, do it, but there's an imbalance here. Your mental signal doesn't match what your muscles can physically capably do. And as a result, your muscles are the weak link, and they're like, well, I guess we got to change. I guess we have to modify what we can do. And that's what creates a stimulus for change. So 2 lessons here. 1, what are you concentrating on in your workouts and how well you can use your muscles? And 2, what is the feedback you're receiving? That feedback is everything, because if you're not paying attention to it, sometimes it's really obvious. It's like, well, are you lifting it or not? But other times it could be very more specific to what you want. What's the output that is responsible for your specific results? That's what the ISO chain does, is it solves that feedback mechanism with overcoming isometrics. Because without a quantitative or feedback mechanism, we're left relying only on how hard are you working. And that's good, that's not a bad thing, and it's certainly not ineffective. But eventually we run into that wall because everybody hits that point where they're like, I just can't put in more effort. It's always going to be the same. And we need to know, is our effort producing better output? And if we don't know that, then our training is blind. So the construction and everything of the ISO chain, which I'll be discussing later on this week, does that, is it satisfies that feedback mechanism. So then the signal to your muscles can be modified and made progressive, and we get the loop going and you get much better results. All right, anyway, find out more on isochain with the link down below for Dragon Door review coming up, but love to hear your thoughts and questions down below as well. Be fit, live free.